Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. It's official, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked by Manchester United following the 4-1 defeat to Watford. Manchester United have announced Michael Carrick as their interim manager. Now, the Watford game was Solskjaer's final game in charge of Manchester United. After the defeat to Watford, Solskjaer said his goodbyes to the players and staff. Manchester United have paid Solskjaer around 7.75 million. Because in the summer, Solskjaer signed a 3-year contract with an option of a further year. Solskjaer was in charge of Manchester United for almost 3 years. I was surprised he lasted as long as he did, but the reason he did is because he's a legend of the club. Disregarding him being a legend of the club, I think he would have been sacked a long time ago. Despite Manchester United sacking Solskjaer, will always adore him, reflecting on what he's done for the club. Solskjaer will always be a legend of Manchester United. You know, he was a very good player. He endured 11 years as a player for Man United. He flourished under Sir Alex Ferguson's guidance. And Solskjaer's most iconic moment as a player was when he scored the winning goal in the Champions League final at the Nou Camp back in 1999. He won the club the treble, and that is the club's greatest achievement. Solskjaer had a proven pedigree as a player, but unfortunately he has no proven pedigree as a manager. You know, the club Solskjaer has managed in his managerial career, obviously he managed Manchester United's reserve team for a couple of years. He also managed Cardiff. His record at Cardiff was absolutely disastrous. He only enjoyed a short tenure at Cardiff. The reason he got sacked by Cardiff is because he got Cardiff relegated. You know, Solskjaer also managed Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles with them, but they're not a big club. He enjoyed 2 spells at Molde, and of course he managed Manchester United's senior team. You know, this season was Solskjaer's 3rd full season as Man United manager. And I did mention at the start of this season that this season was always going to be big for him. Solskjaer did not win a trophy as Manchester United manager. And I said he wasn't capable of winning trophies as manager. Man United have not won a trophy since 2017. That's nowhere near good enough to our standards. The expectations were far too high for Ole to exceed as Man United manager, and he was in a position that he shouldn't have been in. You know, Manchester United at the moment are sitting 7th in the Premier League, and Man United have lost 4 of their last 5 in the league. But reflecting on the poor performances, you know, Solskjaer was partly to blame, but not all of the blame stemmed from him. Like I've mentioned before, there's also players that have to take responsibility for those poor performances. I thought Man United were going to do well this season because Manchester United have got a very good squad. But like I said, the reason we don't get the best out of a lot of the players is because we're a team of individuals. we don't actually play as a team, and plus the players weren't playing for Solskjaer. We should be winning the league this season, or at least competing for the league. We haven't won the Premier League since 2013. Man United enjoyed a very good summer transfer window this year. Made 4 signings. 3 of the 4 signings were major signings, and we spent around £141 million. And the board did back Solskjaer well in this year's summer transfer window. The Glazers backed him. The Glazers, they've been at Manchester United for a good 16 years or so. The Glazers bought the club for £500 million back in 2005. As you all know, United fans were protesting against the Glazers. They were also protesting against the Glazers towards the end of last season because there was planned to scrap the Champions League for that European Super League. Ed Woodward also backs Solskjaer. Ed Woodward has had a 16-year association with the club. Is Woodward still leaving Manchester United? Well, actually back in April it got announced that Woodward was leaving, then it said Ed Woodward is in talks to stay at Man United under a new role. John Murtaugh, director of football, backed Solskjaer, and Darren Fletcher also backed him. So reflecting on that, Solskjaer ran out of excuses. Solskjaer did get appointed in December 2018 to replace Mourinho. In Solskjaer's first 3 months, he was the interim manager. And Solskjaer did very, very well as the interim manager. He won like 14 games out of 19 in all competitions. So reflecting on that, the club did decide to give him the job on a permanent basis. But United fans did say that we made a mistake giving him the job on a permanent basis. Maybe we should have waited until the end of that particular season to decide on whether he was the right candidate. But there again, it was hard not to give him the job on a permanent basis, reflecting how well he did in that 3-month period. But Ollie knew when he'd taken over at Man United, it was going to be a massive job and a difficult job, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin, because Ollie did manage one of the biggest clubs in the world. There is positives regarding Solskjaer. I think as United manager, he did develop the youth well. He more or less given everybody their chances to express themselves. In certain aspects, he did bring consistency back. Some progress was made under Solskjaer, because in Solskjaer's first full season, he got us to 3 semi-finals. In his second full season, he got us to the EFL Cup semi-final, the FA Cup quarter-final and the Europa League final. And that Europa League final was his first major final as Man United manager, but unfortunately we didn't win it. So there you go. And Solskjaer got us a 3rd place finish in his first full season, and in his second full season, he got us a 2nd place finish. Solskjaer did sign 14 players when he was Manchester United manager. Man United spent over £400 million under the Solskjaer era. So in the summer of 2019, Ollie recommended Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka and Harry Maguire in. In January 2020, he brought Bruno Fernandes in and Odi Nagala in on loan. In the summer of 2020, he brought Edison Cavani in, Donny van der Beek, Alex Telles, Amad Diallo and Facundo Pellistri. And in this year's summer transfer window, he brought Heaton in, Sancho, Varane and re-signed Ronaldo after 12 years. When Ollie was Man United manager, he did get rid of a lot of players. He obviously loaned players out, he got rid of players permanently. The players he did loan out in this year's summer transfer window was Brandon Williams, Ethan Laird, Andres Pereira, Axel Tuanzebe, Tahith Chon and Facundo Pellistri. The players he did get rid of permanently, he obviously sold Daniel James in this year's summer transfer window. He released Sergio Romero and Joe Pereira. He also offloaded Igalo, Fossa-Mensah and Rojo. Solskjaer also offloaded the likes of Young, Valencia, Smalling, and that trio were long-serving players at the club. He also offloaded Darmian. Back in January 2019, he offloaded Fellaini, offloaded Gomez, Herrera, Lukaku and Sanchez. Don't forget as well, when we had Solskjaer, Man United went 29 games unbeaten away from home in the Premier League. It was Leicester that ended our unbeaten away run in the Premier League. So there you go, they are the positives. But I think Solskjaer should have been sacked after the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool. Because if we'd have sacked him after that game, I can assure that Man United would have got Conte. Well, it did actually say after the 5-0 defeat to Liverpool that Ollie had been given 3 games to save his job and he only won 1 of them 3 games. You know, Solskjaer is the 4th permanent manager to be sacked since Ferguson. Obviously, Man United since Ferguson sacked David Moyes after 10 months. Sacked Louis van Gaal after 2 years despite us winning the FA Cup under Louis van Gaal. And we sacked Jose Mourinho after 2.5 years. Mourinho did enjoy 1 good season at Man United because he won 3 trophies in his first season. But the reasons it didn't work out under Mourinho is because he had bad disputes with the board. You know, the board didn't get the players that Mourinho wanted to recommend in, and Mourinho had bad disputes with the players. And now obviously Solskjaer's been sacked. You know, Manchester United have not been the same team since Ferguson retired. And a lot of United fans predicted it was all going to go wrong when Ferguson retired, which obviously it has done. No one will replicate what Ferguson did. You know, Ferguson brought success to Manchester United. He won 30-odd trophies, including 13 Premier League titles. But he didn't settle in straight away, Ferguson, because he didn't win out in his first 4 years at Man United. Ferguson was a long-serving manager. He enjoyed, a 27-year tenure at Manchester United. Now, who's Manchester United's permanent manager going to be? I'm hearing that Zinedine Zidane is in line to replace Solskjaer. Now, reports said not so long ago that Zidane turned down the Man United job, as he's pretty much agreed to take over the France job. Well, earlier on this week it said Zidane is not available until the summer, because the Man United board held talks with Zidane, and Zidane notified the board that he doesn't feel ready for the Premier League at the moment and he prefers to take a break until the summer. But Zidane's close relationships with Ronaldo and Varane should persuade Zidane to join. Ronaldo wants Zidane at Man United, he's already made that clear. Not so long ago it said Zidane is interested in the Manchester United job, but he said his wife is not attracted to the idea of living in Manchester. Zidane is managerless because he left Real Madrid in the summer. Zidane won a lot of trophies at Real Madrid, so reflecting on that, he's got a good pedigree behind him. I reckon Zidane would be the right manager for Man United. I think Zidane would get the best out of these group of players. He'd suit the strappings of the club. He'd get us back to that level where we should be at, and he would be capable of winning trophies. Zidane has not yet managed in the Premier League, so it would be good for him to come and experience the Premier League. Certainly my preference would be Zidane over Brendan Rodgers. Obviously there's a lot of talks about Brendan Rodgers coming to Manchester United. Prior to the Watford game, reports said that Brendan Rodgers distances himself from the Man United job. You know, Rodgers said reports linking him with the Man United job were not true. And he's proud to be at Leicester. Well, not so long ago, Rodgers was house hunting in Cheshire. So that stirred suggestions. It said Rodgers is the favourite to replace Ollie. The other week, the Manchester Evening News said that Man United are ready to trigger Brendan Rodgers' contract clause. And apparently it said Rodgers has already verbally agreed to become Man United's new manager, but his preference would be to wait until next season. Because he's reluctant to leave Leicester midway through the season. Should Rodgers be Man United's new permanent manager? I'm not too sure. Brendan Rodgers at Leicester, you know, he's won the Community Shield in the FA Cup. He's got a contract with Leicester until 2025. You've got to admire what he's done at Leicester, but on the other side of things, Leicester have been very poor this season, so does that put Rodgers under some pressure at Leicester? Erik ten Hag, he's also been spoken about as well from Ajax. I think there's quite a lot of United fans that would take him. You've got to admire what he's done at Ajax. He's won quite a few trophies with them and he's been Ajax manager for 4 years. Pochettino's still being spoken about as well. But I do believe that Pochettino is focused on the PSG job. So I will disregard him. But the other week it actually said Pochettino's considering a return to the Premier League on his next job. He's got a full season left on his PSG contract. So yeah. Manchester United have got very, very good players. And hopefully now these players will start playing under the next manager. You know, look who we've got. You know, you've got the best player in the world overall in Cristiano Ronaldo. You've got Mason Greenwood, that's also a talented player. You've got Rashford, that's a talented player. You've got Fernandes, that's a good player. You've got Cavani, that's a good player. You've got Jadon Sancho, that's a good player overall. But he's been poor for Manchester United so far. Hopefully now, under the next manager, we can get the best out of Jadon Sancho and he can get the game time he's demanding. You know, you've also got Donny van der Beek, that's a good player as well, but doesn't get much game time. You know, maybe under the next manager, you know, he'll get a lot more game time, because he didn't get enough game time under Ollie, did he? I'm hearing that Van der Beek's leaving in January. You know, you've also got Pogba, that's a good player. Not only a good player, he's an imperative player. You know, you've got Luke Shaw, that's a good left-back overall, but Luke Shaw's been absolutely abysmal so far this season. Where's the Luke Shaw from last season? Because last season he was superb. He was far superior last season to how he has been so far this season. You know, you've got Eric Bailly, that's a good centre-half as well. But, you know, he doesn't get regular game time. You've got Varane, that's a good centre-half as well. You know, he's done well in quite a few games since he signed for the club, but he's had a couple of games where he's looked off the pace. Varane, he's out with a hamstring injury at the moment. He's out for another 2 to 3 weeks. It's the second injury that Varane has endured as a United player, because not so long ago Varane was out with a groin injury, and he was out with that groin injury for a few weeks. You've got Harry Maguire, that's good when he wants to be, but certainly hasn't proven how good he can be at Man United. Not this season especially. This season he's been terrible, and he's been even worse since he came back from that calf injury. Maguire is suspended for the game against Chelsea next weekend as he got sent off in the 4-1 defeat to Watford. And you've got Wan-Bissaka. That's a good right back. Defensively superb, but the attacking side of his game is poor. And you've also got De Gea. That's a very, very good goalkeeper. De Gea deserves a lot of credit. He's done really, really well so far this season. I thought De Gea did well in the game against Watford, even though we did lose 4-1, because De Gea saved 2 penalties and he made some other good saves in the game. And you've got Henderson, that's a good goalkeeper, but Henderson doesn't really get in now, does he? Because De Gea reclaimed that number 1 spot back. But like I say, players will be leaving Manchester United next year. I think next year Dean Henderson will be going out on loan. Well, Dean Henderson's already said he wants a loan move away from Man United. Dean Henderson's only been in goal for 1 game so far this season. That was the game against West Ham in the Cup. At one point he was out with COVID for a while. At one point last season, Henderson got that number 1 jersey, and he did well in a lot of the games he was in goal for last season. Henderson has got that experience behind him, hasn't he? Because he endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield. He's also had other loan spells before, and before the start of last season he signed a new 6-year contract with Man United. So reflecting on that, he did commit his future to the club. Diego Dalot, he's leaving next year, I think, because Dalot doesn't really get in the team. Dalot will only play when Bissaka's not available. Dalot is our backup right back to Bissaka, but in some of the games Dalot's been involved in, he's done well. Last season Dalot was out on loan with AC Milan. And reflecting on that, again, some experience. We got Dalot around 3 years ago from Porto. We paid £19 million for him, and he's got a contract with Man United till 2023. Bailly, I think he's also leaving next year because, like I've mentioned not so long ago, he doesn't get regular game time at Man United. Bailly lost his place in the team a while ago with the signing of Varane in the summer transfer window, and obviously Lindelof was preferred to Bailly. Don't ask me why, because Bailly's a far superior centre-half to Lindelof. My only element of concern about Bailly is injury prone, so in that aspect is a liability. Towards the end of last season, Bailly signed a new contract with Man United till 2024. There's an option of a further year. Bailly's been at Manchester United for 5.5 years. Got him for 30 million from Villarreal back in 2016. Brought him in under the Jose Mourinho era. Bailly's made, 3 appearances so far this season. Jones, I think he's also going next year. Jones doesn't get in the team, does he? At one point, Jones was out with a knee injury for a while. He's always been inconsistent. Jones is the only outfield player that's still with us from the Ferguson era. Jones has been a long-serving player. He's been at Man United for 10 years, and this season is his 11th season. Tellez, I think he's going next year because Tellez doesn't really get in the team. Tellez will only play when Luke Shaw's not available. Tellez was out with injury earlier on this season. The reason we brought Tellez in, though, was to provide competition for Shaw. He's done well in some of the games he's been involved in, like I've said. We got Tellez in a deal worth 15.4 million from Porto. Matic, I think he's also going next year because Matic isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but despite that, he still seems to get his opportunities, and surprisingly enough, he's ahead of Van der Beek in our midfield. I've always had my reservations about Matic, because he's always been a static midfielder and he's aging up. But despite that, he's had his good games at Man United. I think Matic is the only predominant holding midfielder we've got at the moment. Matic has been at Manchester United for 4.5 years. We got him for 40 million from Chelsea back in 2017. Jesse Lingard, I think he's leaving next year because prior to the Watford game, it said that Jesse Lingard's Man United future is in doubt after talks over a new contract collapsed. His contract at Man United expires next summer. He said not so long ago that Lingard could leave for just £10 million. I'm hearing that West Ham want to re-sign Lingard. Well, at the second half of last season, Lingard endured a 4-month loan spell with West Ham and he made an impact. And I'm hearing as well that Lingard wants to go abroad. Lingard's been part of the club for a long time, risen up our academy and that. He's had his good periods at Man United, he's had his bad periods. Martial, he's also going next year. Cavani, I think he's going next year. I think Mata's going next year. Yes, Donny van der Beek, I think, is going next year because not so long ago, Donny van der Beek confirmed that he will be leaving in January. And like I said, there's a good chance that Paul Pogba will leave next year because not so long ago it said Man United are prepared to sell Paul Pogba in the January transfer window. Well, it's better to cash in for him in January rather than let him go on a free next summer. Pogba may never play for the club anyway because Pogba's missing the rest of 2021. Because Pogba is out with injury. He suffered a thigh injury in fans training the other week. So anyway guys, more videos will be coming up soon. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. Tell me what you think to the news of Solskjaer being sacked. My channel name's Red Devil 24 and take care, God bless, and I'll see you all again very soon.